All right, it's Friday, and we've got ourselves a door service call. With all door service calls, one of my rules of thumb and how I handle doors is this is the first experience a customer has with our location. So we are going to handle this so that every experience with it is good. Nobody should have to struggle to open up a door. So first couple things we're going to look at on this door. First of all, our door threshold is actually not assembled correctly, which is causing a little bit of a trip hazard. So we're going to clean this up to the best of our ability, and we're going to try to get this guy into its lip correctly so that it is not sticking up like that. When we do that, and why this is like this, is the door was catching on it. And what's happening is the bottom of this door is catching on this threshold and pulling it down. So you can start to see some of our rubbing. So when we get this back up, we're going to have another issue to follow up on that, and that's going to be this door has dropped a lot. If you look at our hinges, you can see the height difference between this hinge and where it was original when we did this. Now, we have a Pemco door hinge, which we do not have anymore, so we are going to have to swap this out with a different hinge altogether. None of these screws are going to line up with the new hinge. So we're going to have to take the door off entirely and put our new hinge on. So I'm going to walk you through doing that. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot of drilling and a lot of self-tappers. To follow up on that then, we're looking at the door as a whole. And one thing it's doing that we don't like is we have a bunch of oil. And you can't see the oil, but if I show you right here, we've got oil dripping out of this closer. And it closes very quickly. So, taking the door off, we're going to replace this closer. We're fixing a threshold. Quite a bit to do, so I'm going to get everything started here. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to JB blast or penetrating oil all of these screws because there's a lot of them, and most of the time these guys down in the bottom are not going to come out. The other thing we're going to get while we're waiting for that, so we're doing that while we're hauling all of our gear in, getting our hinge, getting our door closer, bringing everything in, and while we're doing that, we're penetrating oil this, letting this sit, and we most likely can assume that a handful of these are going to have to be drilled and pulled out. So I'll walk you through a lot of that. All right, we are barricading today to inspire people to go around. I've started taking out all of our bolts that are holding this threshold down, this like ramped threshold. I'm gonna take the door sweep off quick, and I'll take you along on that journey because that door sweep's going to get in the way. And then we're just going to keep trying to get this out of here. And then there may be some hardware shopping to get this remounted to the ground. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But first things first, let's get that door sweep off and get this unmounted and see what we got going on. I need to interject here. I didn't suddenly become stronger. I used a second screwdriver on my big number 3 screwdriver to basically create a T handle, giving me way more leverage, allowing me to snap that tap con off. Alright, we gotta clean this up. Alright, we got everything cleaned up. We got all the sealant off of this guy. As suspected, the reason this was put down like that was this door is hidden. So you can see it is just right there. It's scraping just a hair. Maybe you can't see. It's right there. So if we don't do this today, it's just going to get wrecked. So first things first, we got to get this mounted down so it's not a trip hazard. Then we'll get this door off. All right, updating you on where we're at. all of our screws removed. We have new screws. We're just waiting for some silicone and some drill bits. So I have a helper, I have another technician that will come out and help me take care of that. Disconnected our door closer. We do not need that. That's just going to fight us. And we're going to do a couple steps to make this a little bit easier. So I will show you. We're going to go through and we're going to take our number 3 and we're going to hit all of these screws. And we're going to try to break them loose. And then we're going to start popping them loose with the impact. And then we're going to put them back in. So basically what we're doing is we're going to take out the screws, put them back in, and then when we have our second technician here, just because this whole door has to come off, we're going to wait till we have a person here to help us assist and take that door off, and then we will get this guy off and set over in the corner. It was at this point that I got sick of the door moving. Lesson here, call an audible if things aren't going the way you need them to. All right, change of plans. We're gonna take the door off first. I've got it down to 2 screws at the top. We'll take those 2 screws off, and then that door is gonna be free. And I'm gonna just pick it up and move it over. It's heavy, but it's not that heavy. It's kind of awkward. But really the second person is to get it lined up and take out more screws with me. So it shouldn't take very long. We'll get it going. And just like that, we're one less door. So now next step is going to be taking out all the screws on the frame. By tapping those screws using your penetrating oil, you can save yourself a lot of time. All these screws are coming out. That's not the guarantee every time, but boy, even 2 screws, a screw, if you can save yourself a screw, you come out really far ahead. All right, let's get after these. All right, 1 screw, not bad. I will take it. So we're gonna move over there. I'll get you set up. I'll show you how to take a screw out. All right, we got a couple options. We got screw extractors. We can drill this guy out and punch it in. If the head breaks off, our screws don't line up. So whatever, if that happens, we just gotta make sure it's flat so the hinge sits flat. So we got a lot of options, which having options gives you a lot of opportunity to not mess up. All right, remember too, when you're doing this, low and slow. Faster you spin it, the harder that screw is gonna get. Once you work hard in it, it's gonna be harder to drill. So those are kind of your friends. When you use the screw extractor, low and slow, we are just gonna be trying to get this guy in there, and we wanna turn it nice and slow and get it to catch. We got a couple options here for screw extractors. I think this is the one I want. Yep, so couple things you could do. You could start turning it, or we can give it a little love tap in there to get us fully in. All right, so 2 things are going to happen. We're going to either extract a screw, or we're going to end up with a screw head. Either way, we succeeded. Now, you don't always have to use an impact. You can use a screwdriver, and that works just as well. I'm sure you will have seen that in a couple other videos of mine, but we don't want to get this thing spinning or red hot. We just want it to catch. And we broke the head. So, we did succeed. It's broken off, and it's broken off low enough that it won't interfere with our other screw holes that we're going to be adding. So, yeah. Was it perfect? No. Did we get a perfect extraction? No. Did we succeed? Yes. All right, with all projects, there's always about 4 different things happening at once. So we need to get this threshold mounted down and get it so it's not interfering with our hinge. You can see we got a little flop there. What I did was, obviously this has been mounted down before, and I scooched it over just about an 1/8 inch to give us new concrete to drill into. Chances are nobody's going to be walking through the door frame, so we can get away with having that little bit of gap sucked up. Also, I'm finding that I need to clean this stuff out so I can get this tight. So we're going to get this down. We're going to silicone it down so we don't get water up and underneath, and get a little bit more life out of our fasteners. So that's what we're going to be working on. I'll hit you with a time lapse. Alright, this guy is all secured. It's not the best job I've ever done, but you know what? It looks a lot nicer. We lost our trip hedge, so much safer. Next step, getting the new hinge mounted. So, alright, we got our first screw in right up here. That's our first one, most important one, and the reason for that is when you look on these hinges, there's a hard ledge, and we found this out the hard way. This needs to be tight up against the frame. So when you put that in, you want to make sure that it's going to be straight all the way down. You don't want your hinge, since it's a full continuous hinge, you don't want it to have any wobbles in it. So, and for installing screws, we'll do a time lapse, but I'll show you kind of how I do them. Is it the right way? I don't know. But it certainly gets it done. We get our center punch, and we're down at the bottom, so we're just going to grab our center. Oop. There's our punch, so that gives us our guide for our drill bit. We're throwing a little bit of NICs on these, just so we don't have to drill them next time, hopefully. And sent it. So our bottom and our top look exactly the same. We're nice and tight all the way up and down. All right, let's get to a time lapse. Alright, so we got the door up on its own. We just want to make sure that when you're putting this on, if you're going to go tight with your hinge, make sure your door is a little bit below that. We had a bit of an issue with this guy being just a hair bit higher, which then scrapes your door, which is not helpful. So we're going to send all these screws, and we're probably doing about half of them are going to be, if not all of them, we're going to use NICs on it. So, and I'll show you the other side, which is probably the important side. As you can see, we are nice and tight on our door to our hinge. So this is in good shape. We've already tested. The door closes. The door operator is in good, or will clear, so we're good there. So we'll have to get a fresh one on. You can see the tears of pain from the door. So we'll get that changed out, and then we'll get back after it. And if I have enough space, I will film swapping out a door closer. Otherwise, this one's pretty wrapped up. The key things when you're all done, though, make sure you clean up all your screws. Nobody needs a screw in their foot, and vacuum up all of your shavings and everything. Just remember, you don't want to leave something for the store to have to do if you can do it for them. You know, it doesn't take long to clean up after yourself. So Let's make that part of your job. Hopefully this video helps a bit and inspires you to try new things. Remember, our team is here to support each other, so if you have questions, ask around. Somebody's probably tried it already. In the next video, I'll walk you through how I change a 416 design hardware door operator. Nothing goes right, surprise. And if there's anything you want to see, let me know.